All right, guys. So I am now gonna just give you some reminders if you're using watercolor. So this is a watercolor wash that I put down on these. We're gonna call them raspberries and blackberries. I'm not sure what kind of fruit I'm going for here, but it was just a loose sketch, and then I went over with a fine tip Sharpie, and then I did a wash, which, if you remember, is a really light layer of watercolor. So for your Wayne Thiebaud projects, don't just turn in something with one layer of watercolor. You want to layer your actual watercolors. So I've already preloaded my watercolors with water over here, which just makes it easier whenever I am going in between colors. So you can just take drops of water and put it into your little palettes. Sawyer, where are you going, buddy? So I'm just going to show you how you can add some more detail. So I have a dry brush now, and I'm going to pick up some of this purple watercolor. So you can tell that it's a lot more opaque here. And I'm just kind of spreading that out. I'm going to clean out my brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of blue. I'm going to add that in as well. So you can layer on top of the other colors that you've already done. Remember to use this part of the palette to mix instead of in the actual watercolor wells, because then you just have a mess. Well, I have a mess because we all know what's going to happen when you bring these watercolors back to me. Okay, so I'm getting some nice variety over here. I'm going to add just a little bit of red, and I'm going to make sure it's watered down pretty well. Now look at that pretty purple. Hadley, you okay? Okay. Reagan, what? Can you go check on Sawyer? He went out in the garage while I finish this. Pretty. Thank you, honey. So my daughter said it looks pretty. Okay, so I have a lot of variety going on over here. Now I'm going to go back into this part. Reagan, what's he doing?
He's putting happy roller skate hand things on.
Oh. So Sawyer decided that he needs roller skating guards, hand guards to eat lunch with. I don't think it's necessary, but we'll see. I'm just going to add a variety of colors here. And then a nice thing about watercolor too is that you can add just some water on your brush and kind of move some of that paint around. And this is the sketchbook paper, which is pretty heavy. As you know, I'm sure most of you all have done, well, I know you all have done some watercolor in your sketchbook, but the watercolor paper that you have for this project will also hold up well. So the idea is to create depth and texture just by using different colors, by layering colors. And you can see over on the we'll call it the blackberry side over here, that when it starts to dry, some of that intensity goes away. Thank you, honey. I'm gonna add a little bit of the purple on this side, just to give it, again, some nice color variations. And take a little bit of a more opaque green here. Yep, in just a minute, buddy, when I'm done with this. Again, I'm using just plain water to kind of give it some more depth. And let's see what happens when I put some yellow in there. If you all can hear my children in the background, but that's what happens. This is kind of like summer when we're home together. Just gonna let them work that out while I'm finishing up this watercolor. Hey Sawyer, stop, please. I know, those sisters sometimes. Okay, and when I'm done with this, I will, okay? Got it? All right, so, and then in my background, I'm gonna go in and do another kind of light wash here. Whenever this dries, I can always go back and add more detail. Remember, if you are using watercolors for, I think the refrigerator just broke. It's okay. Yeah, honey. I'll fix it. Make sure you don't just put one layer of watercolors on it and turn it in. I want to see that you have attempted to layer some colors. Practice in your sketchbook. Remember, if you try to practice watercolors on just copy paper, it's not going to work very well. But you should have room in your sketchbook to practice. And you can just kind of have fun with it. All right. So, there you go. Hold on just a second, buddy. If your palette looks like this, make sure that you do go in and just wipe it out with whatever. And then the other parts will dry, so that's not a big deal. Here is the completed, or almost completed. It's actually a little bit lighter than what it looks like on the screen. If you have any questions, let me know. Have fun.